All right. Good morning, kitty cats. Meow meow. Um, I man, how do I want to start this? Okay, lots of thoughts. So, I don't know if I'm going to open this up today. I don't know how long I'm going to be here because I have other things to do. But PBK dropped his 3-hour homeroom today, talking about some of the stuff I was talking about in yesterday's live stream, talking about online community. What was the title of it? The title of it is what is the internet for? Can it bless us? And what up, buddy? Also, I think the telos of any online community is selling out. No, and this is a teaser. Well, yes and no, of course. Yes and no, Yanni. I was thinking yesterday because I'm always thinking like Clem snide, God is he which lies forever just beyond the limit of what we already seem to know, and that's just my bent, man. That's my focus. I'm always like, what are we not seeing? What's out there? What's next? I'm interested in the vanguard. And so a conversation that Jess and I have started, but it's just been percolating like Missy. No. Who sings that? Another millennial. Neil, it's another millennial thing. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting. What is her name? You know what I'm talking about. But so a blessing, a gift that comes to you. I don't know how to frame it or how to think about it, but it's like Christ and Antichrist is the clearest way to talk about it. But it's something manifests, emerges. Well, it's a simultaneous reciprocity between emanation and emergence. C. Vervaeke, Bishop Maximus, all those conversations. That is a symbol, heaven meeting earth. Something will happen, like a scapegoat to appease violence, but then you can mechanize that and turn it into the opposite of it, although it mirrors it and looks like it, and that becomes Antichrist. So online community for sure will sell out, because the temptations of selling out are big, whether it's money, status, fame, recognition, ego, pride, greed, whatever. I mean, there would definitely be people that sell out, for sure. And they will go out from us because they were not of us. So that's definitely going to happen. Telos Shmilos, what up? Good to see you, Pickens. Pezzy, Ron, welcome. What I want to talk about, though, in here is something that happened in a group chat. But the question, Henry asked this, does TLC have a catechesis? And it's from, I should probably play it, but I was not prepared to play it. So it's a, can I play? Ooh, PDK. It's from the clip where is it? No, so it's basically, I'll just share the thing. You can go watch it if you want because it's PBK's homeroom. I played some of it yesterday, but it's from this clip from so John hears what's his channel? Heavy Things Lightly or something like that. Heavy Things Lightly or Heavy Things Slightly. See right here? That's his channel. Can we criticize the machine while using the internet? And he is interviewing this guy who kind of predated the internet almost, but he's the guy who runs the channel Protecting Veil. And it's a really old Orthodox YouTube channel. It was connected with Ancient Faith, I think. And he said he started doing CDs. But he basically says in there that the point of the internet is to get people to the Orthodox Church, a church, and then get people off the internet. And I don't agree because again, that's a mechanism, and it's a denial. To me, it's a denial of ongoing transformation in certain mediums and even persons, because this is what I would propose. The TLC, this little corner of the internet, this online community of friends that centers around the central catechesis of the TLC is the randos conversation. And its participation in the randos conversation. So here we go. I will lay out a catechesis. What up there, K. Joseph Rivet? I'll lay out, as I see it, the catechesis of the TLC. So it starts by many different ways. There are different avenues into the TLC. Okay, you may see a PBK video. You may see, and I will just affirm, the center of the TLC is the PBK sphere. It's downstream of Paul Vanderklay and the community because it's the randos. Because it really started with the randos, and it really is about relationships and community and persons. It's not about ideas. You know, the thing I said to Nathan Orman, Digital Gnosis, a long time ago when he was on a Friday live stream, it's deeper than ideas, man. It's about people. Because the person who said that, I think Mark Lefebvre said that in the video that I was playing the other day, that he said, you know, the most mysterious, complex, unencapsulable, infinitely fecund, generative thing is the person. It's why you can never plumb the depths of a human being and a person, which they are a generative mystery embodied. Yeah, Zimzum. Randos is the Zimzum. It's the space we create. Agreed. And so the randos is the space for someone to share their story. Tell me about the house you grew up in. So there's many avenues, and not everyone will have a randos, but that was the initial formative liturgical catechesis, catechetical, it's a hard word to say, initiation into the TLC. And as Peugeot says, we never know anything but through initiation. I'll just take this down. We don't need this anymore. So this is the video where PBK plays stuff and he talks about things. And he would argue that, again, the thing that I'm disagreeing with, because I think he doesn't, and I don't blame him, because he doesn't understand, I think, the TLC. He sees the internet as just information and the information economy, and he just sees in the internet the machine. But here's the thing: Christ and Antichrist are always a hair's breadth. I largely agree with you. The internet largely has become selling out, and it's become a farm of it's that matrix shift where, like, oh, here, like the phone, this is for you, right? And this is a great thing, and we give you free stuff, right? But really what they're doing is mining information to sell you stuff. So then you become the product, and they sell your information to the corporation so they can sell you more stuff, and it's all greed, right? That is largely the internet. That is largely social media. Or they are rage farming to keep your attention, to possess you and keep your attention so they can make money. Making money, honey. But here's the thing. Can Christ manifest there? Or the divine spark? Can genuine person making, genuine community, because I'm going to read a comment from this video from my friend Rod too, because this is part of this. So don't get caught up on the words. See through the words. Iconic knowing. I say the word Christian. I say Christian. You hear person making. You hear good. You hear holy. You hear godly. You hear at one with the universe. Whatever words you need to hear to get that can awaken the meaning in you. It's not that I don't have opinions about the words and the proper words, but hear whatever you need to hear in a way that will orient you rightly in life, because that is the goal, right? We want people rightly oriented in life. So the internet can be used transactionally, but it doesn't have to be. This is what PBK was always saying, and maybe you'll get into this in your video. I've only watched the beginning parts of it, PBK. But We are trampling down the algorithm by the algorithm, which is why we're so confusing for people in the initial phases of their catechesis into the TLC. They're like, what the hell is this? We call it the steep slope, right? And then we have terms like on-ramping, because to figure out what the TLC is and to participate in it is difficult. And most people feel like they are, interestingly, kind of in a magical, strange, hard to figure out dreamland, fairyland. Like, what the hell is this? What are people doing? It was initially not intentional that way because it just emerged that way, but it's kind of intentional that way because that is part of it. You will not continue to participate in the TLC if you don't love what it's doing. And what I think and this will get into the telos and the end of online community. I believe, and I am acting in according to my belief, act as if, that the TLC really is about person making and making someone into whatever you want to call it, the highest ideal of what the human being should be, ought to be. Like the Platonic form of the human being. I call that Christ, and then I call that Christ in me. Call it whatever you want, because you don't have to use my words. TLC is a place where you don't have to use my words, as Jordan Peterson said. No, so delusion. You can come in and tell me why I'm wrong about everything later, and I might reserve the right to still disagree with you. So I think the catechesis of the TLC is this. It's a place, here we go, it's a place where it's not colonizing. We can disagree. See here, Grimm, maybe, I don't know who he's talking about. He's maybe talking to me, he's maybe talking to Chezi. Grimm may disagree with me. Okay, that's your right to do so. I reserve the right to continue disagreeing. And that's good. That's good. I may learn something with humility. Either he or I or both of us may, in our disagreement, this is oppositional processing, may learn to come and see something differently than we used to see it. We may realize we have the wrong optimal grip on our narrative maps of the universe, and we may stop crushing the can that we're trying to hold the drink out of. That may happen, but that requires humility too. Okay, catechesis of the TLC. I'm back. The randos was the initial thing. So PVK made the Jordan Peterson video. All these people, it popped up on their algorithm. All these people reached out to him, started watching him, and said, oh, I want to talk to you about my life experiences. That was the emergence of the rando. Annie Crawford just did one yesterday. It's going to be released to the PVK's larger channel at some point. It was excellent. Chef's kiss. Good job, PVK and Annie. She was vulnerable, transparent, tragically beautiful story. It's wonderful randos. People can come in through the PVK pipeline. They can come in through Peugeot. They can come through for Vakey. But really what it's about is initiation and participation. Because like Mark Lefebvre and Mathieu Peugeot talked about this in the video that I clipped yesterday. Participatory knowing in some way is kind of one of the central ways of knowing. You don't know anything through initiation. Like procedure is also part of participatory because you participate in procedures. Propositional is also part of participatory because you use the certain words, the certain language, the certain confessions, the certain creeds, on-ramp, steep slope, randos. What do all these words mean? You won't know until you participate. And that's inevitable. That happens in any community. Like you go to like a math group, go to a philosophy group, go to a mom's group, go to an engineering group, go to a landscaping group, go to any group, a bunch of milkers, go to a dairy farm. They're going to have particular language that you won't understand until you've participated in them. Learn a new language. You will not understand it until you've participated in it. Like you can't understand from outside, not fully, because you don't know it enough. It is not in and outside of you. So you have to participate. And so then what will happen is people will start, they maybe just think this is just YouTube content, right? And it is that, but it's also more than that, right? So people will start watching videos and then they'll be like, I don't know. They'll either be like, this is dumb, go away. Or they'll be like, there's something here that's interesting. Keep forgetting the new guy who was in here yesterday or I mean, he came onto my streams a few times. He has the handlebar mustache. Cool dude. Anyhow, he didn't come in through PVK. I think he just saw one of my streams. And then I said, break the fourth wall. Grim, see, this is a community. That's Grim's term, right? Which means you stop just watching the silver screen and you click the link and you come on screen and you join a live stream. And you're like, oh man, this is weird. I was just watching this as a non-player, as just a, consumer of it. And all of a sudden now I'm engaging in it. That's called breaking the fourth wall. That may be a way of your initiation into the TLC. You'll maybe just start leaving comments on videos. All of these are different forms and avenues into various spheres of the TLC. And then maybe at some point you get a randos with PVK. There's also hierarchies. Hierarchies bind and blind, and they're inevitable. You can't help it, So PVK said this in his conversation with Annie. It's basically like small groups. He knew, like, somewhat, he's a pastor of this group. It's not a church. And PVK explicitly says that it's not a church, but it's like a church. And he's a pastor, so he uses his pastoral gifts in the TLC. And he'll say, like, okay, so then we have small groups. There's little communities of people. And then there's leaders that you see. And he encourages certain leaders, the people that he's friends with and trusts, and highlights them, and then doesn't other leaders, that's what happens. And then there's this flotilla of channels. Again, another propositional word that Grimm coined. Grimm has coined many of these. And there's these different loosely associated group of people that's completely voluntary. You can participate to whatever degree you want, and you can leave whatever you want. We are not a cult because you can just go ahead and leave. It's just the way it is. But like all of those things are part of the catechesis of the TLC. And people participate to varying degrees based on what they want and what they need. And I believe that this is person making, that this is good, that this is helping people, or else I wouldn't do it. Or I'm self-deluded and this is a cope. People accuse me of that all the time, or say, not accuse, or they just say it's possible. MJ being one of the primary ones. And whatever, he can say that if he wants. And then I say, okay, well, then why are you here? Because are you just being a savior? You're saving me from myself? Okay, thank you. But also, your intention is good. That's great. Also, no, thank you, because I'm aware of your criticism. I've heard it many, many times. I'm engaged with it a lot of times. I've been open to it. I don't think it's true. And so at the end of the day, again, I reserve the right to disagree with you. And also, yeah, why can't it be both? I'm sure none of us are perfect human beings. I'm sure we are all driven by a combination of good and bad intentions. I'm not saying that that I never use TLC as a cope, and that I don't just do a live stream or engage in a chat in Signal or whatever when I should be doing something else. Of course I do. I'm not claiming to be perfect, but here's the thing. The people who, as PVK said in my last live stream, and this is very true, a lot of the success stories of the TLC you don't see, because people were here and they were participating, and then they cleaned their room, they sorted their life out, they found spouses, they got married, and then they're living very full embodied lives in their local communities. And so they don't have time and space for this to the same degree. Like this, for me, it's the same way. Like I didn't come to TLC really needing to sort my life out a ton. It has helped in a lot of those regards, because because I'm the kind of person that externally needs to process and engage with people and dialogue about it. I've always been that way. That's something that Annie Crawford said in her randos, that she was trying to process some of this stuff in a church and it just wasn't being helpful. And so she eventually had to leave. That's what happened to me in my move toward orthodoxy. I have no delusions, though, that if I tried to process a lot of this stuff in my local Orthodox church, it wouldn't be good. It would not be generative, which is why I don't do it. I mean, there are things that I would say, I'm sure, and there are things that I would think that would unsettle people. And so that's fine. It's like Peugeot said, like the 90-year-old grandma in the front row of his church. You don't go up to her and start talking to her about symbolism. It's not going to be helpful for her. This is applied information, properly applied information, and is wisdom, right? It's the difference between information and meaning. One of the differences. Again, watch that Mathieu Peugeot and Mark Lefebvre Navigating Patterns video. It was great on that. Or watch my live stream from yesterday. So I'm here because I think it's good for me. But then here's the thing. I'm doing this quickly. I'll probably open it up for a little bit. This is probably going to last less than an hour. And then I have other things to do with my day that I'm going to be doing. Will I maybe listen to videos passively, kind of like radio? Because here's the thing, like radio. Is radio distracting you from the fullness of participating in your life? Are perhaps audiobooks, are whatever? Like where do part of this to me is like is a very part of people's hesitancy with the internet or TLC or whatever is a kind of close-minded hyper conservatism that I just don't resonate with. Like being conservative and liberal isn't good or bad, you know. Chesterton's fence, Chesterton's Democracy of the Dead, all that kind of stuff. Chesterton was probably way too liberal for most temperamentally conservative liberal or conservatives, if I'm honest. But it's not a good or bad thing, but it's just like conservatives by their nature hate new things. Like this is the Peugeot when he said the conservative fears the chimera and the liberal fears the kind of inbred hillbilly archetype, you know. That's true. I think that's true. The internet is new, and so we don't know what to think about it. We don't know wisdom about it. It's novel, and so it weirds people out. New things don't weird me out. The inbred, I'm very much a temperamentally liberal person. I don't mean that morally. Morally, I'm pretty, and ethically and culturally, I'm fairly conservative in a lot of ways. But I'm also an anarchist, so that looks weird. Like I don't, in as much as it, I think you should intervene at large scales and probably even with yourself to a minimum necessary force. I mean, that's a tenet of like, I suppose it's nonviolence or self-defense or just war or something. Minimum necessary force. But that's true in any sort of intervention, because, and PVK actually, he said this in that Sam video that he was playing at the tail end of his current homeroom live stream. But he said something like that is a lot of what we're dealing with in the modern world is trying to ameliorate the problems that we created through our previous interventions. Totally think that's true. A lot of what's wrong in modern cities and urban planning is because we've built cities in America, at least around the automobile. So we invented the automobile and we're like, isn't this great? Look at all this freedom it will give us. And then boom, there's all these negative downstream consequences. Almost everything is that way. All right. So let me wrap this up and open it up for a little bit. TLC definitely has a catechesis. And what is the end of online community? I would say, like everything, it's both things. It's the ideal good and the bad. It's God, mammon, Christ, antichrist, the real, the deceptive counterfeit, art, artifice. You know, that's how everything works. And so good online community that's led by wise persons that are leading by example and taking the log out of their own eye and having the humility to learn, and who are not exalting themselves and sitting at the lowest place, that kind of community, online or offline, will breed good fruit. I think that's true. not necessarily without hardship, but it will lead to good fruit. I also want to talk about this. Sorry, Rod, if I'm putting you on blast, but so PBK in his video said, I think he said the goal. So here's where you have to have a little good faith with the language that people use, which I was mentioning a few times in here. Rod said, because early on in PBK's homeroom, PBK said that the goal of, and he said this at different times, the goal of, and I think PBK has evolved in this, the goal of Estuary or the goal of our online community is to create Christians. But what PBK means by that, again, we're still trapped in propositional tyranny and ideology. I don't think what PBK means is exactly self-identifying Christians. I think he does mean that. I think what PBK means by Christians, again, is good, healthy people. People that are well fitted to navigate the life in a way that comports with reality, with what is, with the good. And like, and at some point you're going to have to define things in like religious categories for that, because you can't, I mean, you're not going to get there on just like this broad universal assumption of the secular good, because what is the good? What do you mean by that? At what scale? At what rate? How do you define the good? How do you understand the good? That's all PVK means. Yeah, people who fall the way. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Once you see the way broadly, you'll see it in everything. Okay, I'll open it up for people to come and play a little bit. I am going to absolutely leave within, this is not going to be more than an hour. So we have 34 minutes, and then I'll go back and look at comments. I'm going to pin this because this is people who don't understand the TLC. I mean, really, you aren't going to understand it until you participate in it. Here's the thing. You're still in the informational world. If you think you can understand something through mere information without participation, I would say you have no idea what you're doing. You are participating in a kind of medium that roots knowledge and information, but that in and of itself is a thing. There's a bigger pattern within that. Okay. But that in and of itself. Okay. I just like, it's cool that my YouTube though just goes automatically to I got it pinned to 2 times speed because that's how I roll. So I got to get through it. Which also, like, here we go. For my wife, like when I start playing something, for the limited times I play things for her because she's got a short bandwidth for thinky talky stuff. See, she's the opposite of me. So like we have a polarity, resonance, magnetism that is good for this stuff. Because she doesn't want to hear all this stuff. But when she hears me like playing stuff at 2 times speed, she's like, I don't know how you're not a crazy person. She's like, I would never do that to myself. Oh, look at, speaking of magnetism. What up, Nathan? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you doing? My girlfriend's now mad at me because she wanted to just lie on the bed.
Oh, man. Why do you have to go on stream? She's so tolerant of you, though.
She's pretty tolerant, but also I tolerate her racial differences, so that's what makes it work.
Her racial differences? Is she a different race?
She's a different race. We're race
Holy
mixing.
cow, you're mixed. Oh, man. How progressive. I was making another batch. Before I did this is why I was late. I was making another batch of my homemade ginger beer, which I highly recommend. It's amazing. Probiotics are good for you, and so is ginger apparently. But I've started putting peppers in it, and so I have like habanero and jalapeno oil on my finger, and I just stuck it in my eye. So that's why I'm doing this.
I do that sometimes when like I've been chopping peppers up, and then a few hours later I'll like do the same, and then it's like super spicy in my eyes. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know if this is strong enough to blind me or.
It's definitely, I love hot stuff. Even like the feeling right now of like my eye feeling hot, I kind of like. Really? But I'm a weirdo that way. Like that's what my wife says. She's like, I'll support you in whatever way you want to torture yourself.
I like it I like it to a degree, like taste wise, but not like in my eyes or something. Yeah.
I mean, I don't just like for fun go out and spray myself with mace, you know. Like, I'm not quite at that level, but yeah, talk to me. What do you think about the topic at hand? I'm gonna look at comments.
I mean, I don't think so. Basically, in answer to the question, I think that it's like there was a person who kind of said like most of the stuff that happens is basically transactional, and I think that that's pretty much right. And I think I don't think it's particularly unique, like the TLC or whatever is particularly unique from any thing that people are into on the internet. Like there are forums, right, that some people are in that are about Warhammer or something. There's videos around like certain films or like bits of like content creators or something. And I don't think that TLC is unique or different from any of those in sort of like any major respects. It's different only in the sense that you could give some details about what the topics are that people are into in this space, and that would be like religion, Christianity, Jordan Peterson, some kind of culture war politics stuff. But I mean, so people aren't really talking about movie reviews that often. I mean, I'm sure you'd find examples in the Discord, but the main bulk is around that stuff. But I don't think there's any overarching purpose or anything other than that. I think there's a lot of in-group language, and I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of like very sort of airy ways of putting things that don't really. I think people are into the aesthetics of some of that stuff, but there's not, in my view, like a lot behind that. Like when the kind of flowery language is sort of like put, it can be stated in more normal terms, and then it's just kind of like people saying, yeah, like things are happening and it's all religious and stuff, and most sort of videos are boiled down to that. But
yeah, so I would probably flip it and say people who don't like the way that we talk in the TLC and the flowery language and different things just prefer a different aesthetic.
Yeah, sure.
It's not I don't know that it's a better or worse thing. And really, like we used to. I mean, one of the earliest things that happened, I do think largely the TLC is, I don't know if I would say too much, but it's too propositionally oriented, probably in a lot of ways, but also like I don't know, I'm kind of okay with that because it's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of where it came from, its origin story with Jordan Peterson, the stuff he was talking about, meaning, philosophy, theology, like that's just going to happen. But I really, where I do adamantly disagree with you, and I know this because I've been involved with it from the very beginning, highly initiated, highly participatory. I know many of the people who are active in it now and who've come and gone. And I talk with a lot of these people offline and have had many conversations and seen their lives and what have happened over the years. I don't know. I can't speak for other online communities because I've never been in a lot of them. I was a pretty offline person before this, and actually I still am. Like outside of TLC stuff, I don't do stuff online. I'm not active. Like the Discord annoys me. I don't really engage in it. I have to watch myself now because of TLC, because I have I would say a genuine love for so many people in it that like it's very tempting for me to over engage in group chats and things like that separately. But a lot of that I'm limited by my context too. I can't do. I have 3 children. I have a wife. I have multiple projects going on all the time. Yeah. I can passively listen to things, but like when something goes heavily text-based, like a chat or something, I'm just like, I'm out. I mute it. I'm gone because I can't do it, And that's because I'm living my life, contrary to the critics.
No, I get it. Like, I also just can't be bothered going through like threads on Discord and reading a bunch of stuff. And that's also partly like the same thing with the stuff I do on YouTube, where even some people want to plan, weeks in advance, when you're doing this, when you're doing that, and I'm just kind of like, look, I don't care. I'll just go live when I go live. I'll talk about a topic if I want to. Like, this isn't a job for me at the end of the day. So I think we're similar in those respects.
Right. Yeah.
I think though, maybe what the difference might be, maybe it's not a difference. I mean, you can tell me, is I think not sort of being on the in group of the TLC. Like, I don't view what I'm doing online as anything sort of more significant than often either entertaining myself or trying to help people understand like my thoughts on a topic or presenting a topic a certain way. But I don't think that's a part of like any profound movement to revolutionize the spiritual makeup of humanity or something. I mean,
Yeah,
sure,
grandiose
movement where for some people, or it can have some positive impacts, but I don't think it's like a big part of some story like that or something.
Yeah. Well, and who knows? I mean, that's things like we'll see, right? Time's the revelator, to quote Gillian Welch. None of us know the future. I think there are glimmers of it, and then Gavin, I'm gonna welcome you because I do think even when you look at history, there are major shifts happen about every 500 years. I think that kind of happens. And I think we're largely due for one of those. Like whether or not it will actually happen, I don't know. And you could say that the advent of computer technology all the way up to social media, cell phones, the internet, a lot of the stuff that's happening right now is at least in a scale way different. Like the fact that I'm talking to you right now and you're in England, like that's pretty wild.
Yeah, Gavin can come in, I guess.
Yeah, Gavin, go ahead. Thanks.
Hello.
What up, buddy? What are your thoughts? You just coming to hang out, or do you have thoughts?
I always have thoughts. Yeah, the internet seems to be a place for it's like easy for us to go connect with people in kind of a superficial way, right? So like, we could connect with people if we were using the television. People did this for decades. You just every night turn on the TV or throughout the whole day, go to an old person's home. There's TVs everywhere, right? It's a really superficial connection with people, right? And so doing, you know, doing what we're doing now is less superficial, right? We get to actually. I remember watching TV and listening to talking heads and saying, "I want to be able to talk to them." This stinks. So, and then I think doing this on the internet, it ultimately should lead toward doing it in real life, like with people you can touch and smell, right? It's a little harder then because they could attack you.
Right, but like what's hard for me is like part of this, like the TLC is emergent, and I often hear with most of the criticisms, like even that, like we should be doing this in real life. Well, we created Estuary. There's in real life conferences. There are Estuary people. Anyone could start an Estuary.
Well, there's probably, I think there's people who participate on the internet who aren't really participating much with humans. Like how close do you get to another human, and in the physical world, and so this could be a place to practice, but that doesn't mean that all of us are like that, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, no, totally agree.
it's kind of a nice place to learn and teach, right? So it's convenient, but hopefully it doesn't become a thing that you never grow out of, right?
Yeah.
That's the risk, is that it never like gets on the ground.
Or that you become fully absorbed in it, where you're just like, if you're doing this all day, I would say you should probably not.
Well, hopefully I've become a better husband and father because I've practiced. Like I practiced on pets. I practiced on people on the internet. It's like, and then I think I've become a better husband and father because of the practice.
Yeah. I mean, it's right.
Like I would rather hurt you, Luke, than to hurt my wife. with my words or whatnot.
Yeah, depends. It's easier to hurt you and then I can just disappear, but like depends on how pissed off I am at my wife, might want to hurt her.
I mean, getting in a fight with your wife is a little more real.
Yeah. It's
and
like
getting in a fight with my neighbor could be more real. They could pull out a gun,
it's
Nick,
like
I want to fight you to the death right now on Luke's live stream. Whoever dies loses.
That's right. If you guys listen, I am game for it because really I'm here for the money. And so if I could somehow make this private and sell it to people, if you guys could get it into a fight to the death on screen, and then I'll only show it to people who pay me, that'll be like Faces of Death, modern Faces of Death. Okay, Alan. Alan's sick of, he's coming in a different way. He's coming in. Alan always has to be unique. He wants to come in a unique way.
Yeah. Well,
What's up, Alan? Tell us what you're annoyed about today.
So much. I'm just so pissed. The thing is, I just embrace just being pissed off 20. I realized like people always talk about balance, and I thought just if you're pissed off all the time, you're balanced in that you're always pissed off,
Yeah.
There's nothing to like debalance from.
I think that makes sense.
No, I mean, I appreciate Nathan's critique because I think it's a good, like, it's a valid line of reasoning. And the only thing I would add is just like, it just depends on your perspective. Yeah. Nathan's like, I agree with the person who agrees with me, which I always do. But it's just like, to me, it's just perspectives. It's like, if you were into computers in the 1960s, everyone would say that's dumb. But you wouldn't but you don't think it's dumb. And even if you died before the computer revolution and like, all it is, IBM and a couple of like specific use cases, it's like you thought that was meaningful. Now we'd look back and we'd be like, oh, Alan Turing, he's so important. And like, even like random mathematicians from the 1800s, like their work is now like very important.
So the Alan Turing.
Yeah, we are all we are more important than Alan Turing. Every single person in this comment section is going to be written about in history books more than Alan Turing. No, but it's just to say, like, from that perspective, if you were a computer hobbyist in the 60s, like, was it a waste of your time to like be thinking about computers, or was it not? And if you died before the computer revolution took off, it's like, oh, well, you never held an iPhone, you never did this, like, it just depends.
You'd want to go for a different example though, because I think even in the 60s, people recognized the way that computing was going to be one of the most important things, at least economically and politically, in our world. I mean, obviously, it wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now or in the 2000s, but like people understood, it was very prestigious to be studying like a researcher in computer science or a company that had a computer or something.
No, but that's my point. Is there
were people who did not know the computer was going to be successful.
Exactly.
Well.
Is if like you surveyed 1,000 people in the year 1960, and you're like, "What's your thoughts on computers?" Like 1% of those people would even like have a real relationship to computers. Versus,
it's hard to say without actually having the data, because otherwise, we are just making it up, right? Unfortunately, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know what most people would think. But the point would be about prestige, right? So like for the people who know about like sort of the sense making or TLC thing, like for example, there isn't like institutional weight there. For example, like there isn't there aren't like high quality PhDs or like billions of dollars of investment from companies, or like the US Army hasn't like bought in to guide the way that turrets on bombers track top. The point is, I think it's very like disanalogous in the sense that it's just kind of like people on the internet, and there's not,
Yeah, but that's always relative to like, until like it's the individuals who often for the love of the game are into something or have a vision or an idea. Like we can, I mean, the analogy doesn't have to be perfect, but I mean, I think it would hold in the 1960s, but we can talk about the 1800s. It's like the US government was not interested in like some mathematician's idea of like, oh, well, we could one day make a machine that could do this, that, the third. because they're like, oh, that's too theoretical, that's too far off. But my point is just like, even if we accept that it never becomes anything, my point is not like we are at the cutting edge and this is going to blow up. My point, and like that's not my point, is one day this will be like super important. My point is that the deciders of what's important are not institutions. It's not the US government. I mean, just, you know, you can have all the force and prestige in the world, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're right. I mean, look at something like North Korea. It's like they can't even have planes there. They travel by train because, you know, they have force. You can kill whoever you want if you're in the leadership, let's say, but like they don't have trust. They don't have, like, the lower down people aren't actually properly ordered. So like the point is that individuals are coming to this space. They're getting something out of it. If everyone else in the world thinks this is stupid, that's okay. And I don't mean that backhandedly. I don't mean like, well, that's okay if they're dumb and unenlightened as myself. I'm just saying, like, I like, you know, before I was into the TLC, I loved talking about economics and behavioral economics and why people make decisions that they make. And I didn't have a ton of people to talk to them about. I've read some books on it, but like I can talk about those ideas and religious ideas, and like that inherent to me. It doesn't matter if I become a famous behavioral economist and make $1 million off the ideas here, but I like spending my time here, and like, just like, that's okay. And it's okay for people to also think this is a waste of time, but people are just voting with their inherent power of, I can control what I spend my time on, and people are choosing to spend their time here, even never come back and think, oh, that was really dumb. So it's like, that's also okay. But that's my point is not, like, I think your criticisms are valid, but I also think it's valid for people to say, but I do want to spend my time here, even in light of criticisms.
All right, let's welcome Paul. See what Paul has to say.
Hopefully not too much. Has anyone read Neil Stephenson's Anathema? No takers. All right. So basically the core of the plot is there's this sort of community of academic monks, and they are participating in this intellectual exercise as a community, and it becomes their way of life, and adventures ensue. But I think there's, how are we different than the computer group? We are not about a third thing. We're about the embodiment of the thing which we are discussing. In many ways, it's what is the lived reality that we are participating in now. And I think, and now I'm waving to all my neighbors, but I think this is I think this is a different type. And as I said in the comments, it's closer to a religious community than it is a chess group or a chess club, because it is self-aware, and there's this because we are thinking about ourselves in a certain way and how we are living in a certain way. And I feel like one can disagree, and I may be stretching the analogy, but I think the type we are more similar to is that. And I'll stop now.
All right. Yeah, I don't. And I'm not saying Nathan is this at all. I mean, there are plenty of different. We're a group. Pretty much anyone who's in the TLC, or the vast majority. I don't know. I know I don't have specific numbers on the data, but I'm pretty sure of this just through my anecdotal experience, that we're just contrarians. And so they're like, have an opinion. You're going to find a lot of people who disagree with your opinion in the TLC. That's just going to happen. But one of the things that's pretty common, and this is PVK and everyone else, and that I don't understand really, for like the people who primarily criticize the thing, is I would just be like, is it just like is it kind of a savior complex? Like, why do you engage? For the people who mainly just criticize, and I'm not even saying that's you, Nathan, because it isn't a cult. Like, there's no one participating here unless they want to.
If it is directly to me, though, like, I mean, if everyone else would sort of be on the side of well, that clearly wouldn't be directed to me, and it would be clearly directed to me. Like, I can just answer those questions, you know, like I'm more than happy to.
I mean, you can. I'm just saying I don't think all you do is criticize. But I would say from my experience, it's the majority when you come on stream. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've got a savior complex. I think that I was someone who was into this kind of stuff. I'm still networked to this stuff, given that I'm in like Discord servers, talk to people, and also have a lot of people who sometimes watch my stuff who kind of came out of these spaces. And I think that I want to help people to think a bit more clearly about some of this stuff and think critically about it. I think that the space is very conflicted about its values and things. I think that people often sort of use a lot of like thought terminating cliches and things to avoid thinking clearly about what they're doing in this space, or like whether or not it is aligning with their values or helping them to be better people or better Christians. And it's not because I have like a savior complex. It's just because I think that for a minimum amount of effort, I can continually kind of apply that criticism and help people to get a little bit clear.
Yeah, I think that's a good intention. So I'll say this, and then I'm going to ask people for last words because I said I was going to keep it under an hour. So this is kind of why I streamed that time about like, what do you do when people just don't get on board? Because like I would say at this point, like I largely know your criticisms and where you're coming from with things. And I think the intention that you want people to help see clearly about it so that they can live their best lives on their own terms, that's great. But then I would say, like, I think largely, like, I don't know how much more talking between you and I, particularly about the specific disagreement is going to, like, either you think I'm being bullheaded or I just disagree with you, or I'm just wrong or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you have to, like, I'm the one living my life. And so, like, I don't particularly need to hear the arguments anymore. Maybe you're doing it for the sake of other people that are listening. I don't know. But, and part of it is like, and on my streams largely, like I think there's a degree of disagreement that is healthy and good, but a lot of what's happening online, and it's part of the Mathieu Peugeot talked about this really well. I think of virality and I think it's just meant to distract us. Like a lot of disagreeing is just meant to keep us preoccupied in anger and like you know, evolutionarily maybe, like because we live such relatively comfortable, safe lives from fear of like predators and things, that like we need to feel angry about stuff online so that we like feel alive. I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but like I have 3 teenagers. Like I don't need more drama from like online stuff and primarily disagreements, because that's not what I'm seeking to do on my channel. Okay, that's my last word.
I'm gonna head out. I think a lot of us we like to try to teach others. Hopefully we also like to learn. And then we'll have different, I'll use the word spirit, right, behind it. So, okay. But that's what I see. Nathan's trying to teach. Luke's trying to teach. I like to try to teach. Paul, I said listen to him a little bit. Corner Citizen. What a weird name.
Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate it. Thanks for
have a good one.
See you later.
See ya.
Who got next?
I'll go.
Okay, thanks.
The paths we walk are really important to understanding where we've landed. And I mean, I've done a lot of walking in the materialist world, and I participate a lot in that world, and I participate a lot in the traditional Christian spiritual world through my family, and it's the bridging of those. It's that I find there's some ability that, Nathan, you are going to come on and you're going to try to bring me back to that materialist view, and I think it's a healthy pushback, but there's I sense that the synthesis, especially of someone like Vervaeke, who's coming from a cog sci view and sort of addressing the spiritual, or Vander Clay, who's coming from the pastoral and going to this secular space, and they kind of meet in the middle in this in-between space, the so-called estuary. And it's not just another type of thing. I mean, there are other places like this, but it's not just another type of thing within the material world. But if your view is limited by that material, then it's going to look like another club within the world of the material. And so anyway, Luke, you did a great job today. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. And I think your kickoff was just on point. So just supporting that.
Man, hopefully Paul will clip it. I'm sure. Because I'm sure it was so good. Paul, if you're going to clip it, put it in the comments. Because I need those eyes. This is all just
for the money.
This is a slow grift. I say I don't want money. All of a sudden, I'm going to flip that switch. And it's just going to be, is it Donald Duck? Which is the duck with all the gold he swims in?
Oh, yeah.
DuckTales?
Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge. Is it Scrooge on DuckTales? I mean, is it Scrooge? You know what I'm talking about?
We watched the same cartoons as kids.
Yeah, you're not old enough. Okay. Alan or Nathan?
I'll go really quick.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a good conversation. Good talking. And yeah, I just think coming up from below and just like people being around ideas, and good things will come from it. Maybe some of the things won't be good, and hopefully we can listen to our critics when we're on down a bad path. And finally, every time I see, sorry, Paul, I met you in person. We had a great conversation. Every time I see your name, I think of the let's see Paul Allen's card from American Psycho. So
good to see you again. Sorry, I'm really bad with the names, so I recognize people and I just forget names.
Oh, no, it's Alan, but
all right.
I got to jump soon.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Nathan, let's bring it, man. You know how to do this game. You've been on YouTube since the beginning. You're good at this. Let's hear it. Let's just,
yeah, here's my final statement. You do you, King. There you go. No, I mean, I'm fine with people having different preferences, right? And being into different things. I do think that people don't take themselves to merely be doing that, though. Is probably, I think there's just this element of hypocrisy here where the criticisms come up. It's kind of well, we just kind of have some disagreements on some things, but then if the criticisms aren't there, it's and here's how something that's happening vindicates that my theological views are right, and we're we're this wave of history and figuring it out, sort of thing. And I think there's a bit of a tension there, where that's not quite the same thing as just hanging out with people thinking about things on the internet or whatever. And then just as far as the philosophical aspect of some of this stuff goes, I would say that, I mean, as you correctly identified in the chat, I don't identify as a materialist, but I do think that there are a lot of sort of stories about the relationship between philosophy and what's going on in this space, which I just think are sort of wrong stories or bad philosophy that can be cleared up as well. And if that stuff was seen clearly, then there would be this divide that's seen between people's metaphysical commitments and their first order kind of value commitments about how they should live. And I think that when that divide can be seen clearly, people can more easily just see what the actual disputes are, which are just going to be disputes about values. And I think that helps us to actually just do much better with our ethical judgments than kind of having all this kind of abstruse metaphysical stuff going on.
Yeah. All right. It's the last word. Thanks everybody for coming, and let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Send me as much money as possible, although you don't have any way to do it. So that's all. See you guys. Bye.